Town training ground. Perfect place to do it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Celtic Rumours TV, episode number 200 of the Bawz and Bovril podcast. Tonight, with myself, Mark. We've got Big Jerry with us tonight, and we've got Greg McWhirter back too. The two of them are sitting in the van up next to Lennoxtown as we speak. How are you doing, lads?
Right in the shadow of the training grounds. We can literally touch it. We're that close to it.
As long as that's all you're touching up, we're used to sitting in the van.
How we doing, Mark? All right, mate?
I am good, mate. Can't believe I've done 200 episodes of this. Do you know what I mean? Unbelievable.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's something that you've got in common with Greg Taylor. He'll be making his 200th tomorrow night.
We'll go on to him later. We'll go on to him shortly. So I see this is for the podcast for our forum. It's at www.celticrumours.co.uk. The link to that and our Discord and everything's in the description box below in the link tree. A few shout outs to some of the lads in that. Paul Tears at work, he'll probably be listening in. Jerry McGinn, old Tim Alloy, JFP, TB, B United Ireland, Mikey, Big Jabber, Kev, Welshie, old Malika as well. Obviously, just while we're on that, just thanks to Paul and Tear and everybody, Big Jerry, Greg, everybody that comes out, has come on in the last 200 shows and helped us out, becoming on and talking and that. Everybody that's listened in over the 200 shows, everybody that's been based for day one, really appreciate that kind of stuff. I just hope he's like what we do. It's just a laugh and a joke. We don't think we're Sky Sports or that, do you know what I mean? Well, Big Camp says you beat Bobby in the night.
Aye, that's it, mate. Aye, you lose.
That's you, top man tonight. Evening, Bobby. Ken, how you doing, mate? Stephen Fox, that Foxy boy, maybe. Patrick, nice to see you, Patrick. Happy New Year to you as well, mate. Grot Bags, don't actually think she's in. She's a bit out of her nieces to get her hair done, I think. Brian, nice to see you. San Francisco, hail. G-Doc, thanks evening, mate. Thanks for coming in again. Henky, don't know if I said you. Flip-flop Cameron, nice to see you, mate. Thanks again for coming in. Henky, what you moaning at rat out now?
He's only at it. He's noising you up.
Maybe forgot to log in. He's under his plunge account.
I was going to say, shout out to bloody say, come back, mate. I'm sorry.
Kieran, nice to see you again, Kieran, bud. Bobby 1962. I think that's everybody. That's everybody we've had.
You missed out the Bishop, thanking the Bishop for coming on.
I did a JFP as well then, obviously. A wee shout out as well to TB for the Discord.
Aye, I got to say that, aye. Best of luck to TB, and there's somebody else, I'm not going to mention their wife as well.
Aye.
Best of luck to her.
Aye, best of luck and all our hopes and all our prayers and hoping that's gone with them. We're not going to mention who it is, but hopefully everything goes all right.
And Mark, congratulations to you for driving to 200 episodes. Well done.
Aye, I enjoy doing it. I mean, everybody knows my situation. You know what I mean? I don't mean anything against any of the guys or that, but I mean, I could quite happily sit and do a podcast every night.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I mean,
theories on a Tuesday.
What?
The conspiracy theories.
Aye, I've said that before. I've been doing podcast. I've been doing
conspiracy theories.
Absolute,
just
ones. Crazy stuff in that. Well, we could talk about conspiracy theories, right? We've got to, before we even talk about like the game the other day or that, what about the thought? I mean, we've been talking about it in the Discord and that, but what about the just actual thought for Rodgers' interview the other day?
Okay, good.
Even that the day, the first a 16-minute press conference in 14 minutes, it was all about what Rodgers said in his previous interview.
Mark, you took the words right out of my mouth. I would now say that press conferences do not serve a purpose. They don't. I wasted probably half an hour of my day today listening to Arnie Ingles and listening to Brendan Rodgers. I was uninformed, I was uninspired, I was uneducated. I was none the wiser about anything. And I think a lot of this has to go down to the PR team at Celtic and at other football clubs, because they moderate what can be asked. And I genuinely think it's now one of those moments where press conferences need to come to an end. They need to be restructured. I'd get the top 5 fan media outlets and I'd give them 2 questions each, because this repetitive nonsense that we are fed is absolute trivial. It's garbage. And I literally was so disappointed today, and pretty much in every press conference you listen to, it's the same old absolute nonsense.
I've said it before, but we've joked about it. See, if I ever got to the level to get into a press call, I wouldn't get in, and I couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not confident enough to sit there with the way you're speaking that in that kind of environment. Plus, as well, I was like being to one the other week, Greg, and the boy was going on and he was pulling out stats for sofa scoring and all these mad websites and quoting with Brendan Rodgers.
That was a young guy that was trying to make an impression and trying to do things. Fair play to him. Do you know what? At least he was trying to do things a little differently. But the door needs to be opened a little bit more. Creativity needs to be, there needs to be a moment where the PR team and other clubs say, right, we're going to allow you to have more of a conversation, because you're literally going into press conferences knowing what's going to be asked and knowing what the response is 9 times out of 10, and that gives nothing to the fan. So I would suggest that press conferences, and remember, it's Steen that introduced them. It goes back to Steen. Steen was the guy that was pressurised to introduce them, and it's pretty much the same format that's been delivered since Steen. I want to be more informed, I want to be inspired, and I want to be educated, and press conferences do not deliver that. So for me, bring them to an end.
Because it's like even this, like the Scott. I mean, see, like we're saying, right? It would be like if I was going in, I'd ask you guys, what kind of questions should I ask? You know what I mean? Looking for a bit of advice, guys. What would you like me to ask without making an ass of myself? But it's like, The Celtic fan, I mean, they do kind of two separate press conferences, didn't they, Greg? Or did they still do that? They get one with like the mainstream media, and then there's one where there is the fan media. I don't know if they still use that. They did under Ange, didn't they?
I think every now and again they allow fan media. Now I could be wrong. They might allow one or two fan media in the press conferences, but the whole format of them and the whole structure and the quality of questions are just so poor that I'm watching it as a fan thinking this has got to change. You know, and I think, you know, and Brendan Rodgers'
the mainstream guys
well,
are looking for their headlines, but
I know, but
into that, but that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's like if a Celtic fan goes in, we're going to try and come up with a good question that we're going to learn something for the manager, or, you know what I mean, about the team or about players, about what he does in training. It's what you say, you want to learn and educate yourself about what's going on at the club. Whereas the mainstream media, they're in there and they don't care about how they want a juicy headline, they want a bit of controversy. It's like for Rodgers, we've done his media conference on Saturday. It's just been a constant. I've been picked to the bones here, and we've got people suggesting that Rodgers is now working his ticket and all this kind of stuff. And basically, he's just been. For me, it's a bit of a fallout again for losing the Derby game. Everybody about the club was a bit pissed off with that, and I think a bit of that came across with Rodgers after the game at the weekend.
Mark, here's another thing. See the first press interview he done. Do you think he's got one of these guys to deliberately ask him the two questions about KT, the song with KT, and about the booing for the stands, or do you think it was just two random questions?
No, I think it was maybe just random questions.
Aye. No, as I say, we were back to our group chat. Somebody had asked it, but I think it was just two random questions. But I've got to be honest. See the first interview when he was trying to pull the fans up or section the fans up about singing about KT. I thought it was spot on. I know I'm in the minority, but my opinion is he's quite right to do that, because when somebody signs for Celtic, all you ever want to do is give 110% and try their best. Greg Taylor's done that. He's limited, but you can't fault the guy's professionalism or he's trying. Don't get me wrong, if any one of us had to play for Celtic, we were trying our hardest as well. But the guys gave everything. He's been a good role model on and off the park for Celtic. I would love Kieran Tierney to come back here and set the head on fire and go back to the player he was. But when he left, we were gutted. But we also thought that we were getting the best of the deal, because we didn't think he was going to still be able to play at a high standard because of his injuries. So now he's coming back. It should be in his prime peak years. We're getting him for nothing. If he was playing at a consistently high level and going to be playing all the time, then he wouldn't be coming back to Celtic. So the singing and dancing is so spot on for me.
Arsenal had an option, which we saw Spurs doing with Carter Vickers when we look back across his career. I think our Barcelona's doing it with Baye now. They're deal for these years' extensions, and that. Arsenal aren't even that confident again. A fee for Kieran Tierney that they're just ripping up their year's option.
Yep. Aye.
I think what people need to remember as well, Mark, right, is that agents and journalists are very pally. They're close with each other. Now, if you were an agent who had some sort of influence over a journalist, then I'm not going to raise conjecture about how these relationships exist, but I suspect that there's a agent at play who has a journalist in hand who's able. Kieran Tierney is interested in Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney's representatives are interested in Kieran Tierney. And I cannot see for a minute a player going from £110,000 a week to £40,000 a week, no matter how much he loves Celtic. So reading between the lines, I think there's been a wee bit of smoke and mirrors with the agent, with a journalist, creating all sorts of conjecture. And for Celtic's in Celtic's corner, the best thing for them to do is say something but say nothing. I can't see him coming back, and I think what's at play here is Kieran Tierney's representatives getting Kieran Tierney the best move he can, which will not be to Celtic.
I'd agree with that, Terence. I really would. I put the link on the WhatsApp group as well. That some of the story news coming out that Celtic, it's not that going to be this month. They're looking at getting him in a pre-contract and that. And I think as well. And what you're saying right about KT looking after KT, his agent looking after KT. I think that KT maybe want the move to Celtic more than maybe Brendan Rodgers wants a KT move to Celtic. I mean, because even getting back to the interview the other day was, I'm not saying he was having a pop at Tierney, but he was a bit dismissive about it. And Rodgers that stubborn that he would talk, if there was anything in it, that he was saying, "Oh, well, wait, you know, I'm not been getting kind of swayed by what the fans are wanting, players the fans want to sign."
See, when a manager gets...
the thing about it for me, Greg, and I've said this to Jerry as well, it just breaks every player trading model that Celtic have used in the last few years.
I would be so surprised if Kieran Tierney comes back to Celtic. I don't think it's the right move. Think about this, when a manager gets the bullet, Barry Robson gets the bullet from Aberdeen, and then he's all over the press for 6 months because he's fishing for a move. And that's what's happening here. Kieran Tierney and his representatives, I think, are fishing for the best move, and they stoke up the fire of the story with Celtic, and it gets a lot of movement and a lot of traction, and people start talking, and then the interest grows. There's no way Tierney will go from 110 grand a week to 40. No chance.
Need to record this, Mark. You play it back in a few months' time.
How is that the kind of money they're kind of hinting at? Celtic are going to pay him 40 grand a week.
That's just what I'm coming up with, right? Because apparently the top earner is McGregor and I think Schmeichel, who are close to 40, right? Would you, if you were employed, take less than 50% as an offer from a prospective buyer? No, you wouldn't. You would. I just believe if KT was that loyal to Celtic, he wouldn't have left. He left because the money on offer was ridiculous. And it was in everybody's best interest that he goes Celtic, Tierney's, and his representatives. And what we're doing, we're even falling into the trap of talking about it. I think it's a dead rubber. I don't think he'll come back. I'm more interested in who's going to replace Callum McGregor, because he's looking a shadow of his former self.
But just to that last thing there on KT, it's even. What was I going to say there? It's gone. You lost me there, Greg. It'll maybe come back to me, but I just don't think it's a good move at all. I mean, that's what it was. That's what I was going to say. Let's not forget, see KT's last season. How many games did he miss an injury for us? He was injured when he signed for Arsenal. And if you go back and look on forums and on internet and on Twitter, Celtic fans were quite happy to sell Kieran Tierney to Arsenal for 25 million because his injury problems. Go back and read his interviews at the time. He comes back and he talks about there was times he thought he would need to retire. He get this, I can't even mind the name of what it was, something where I said with his pelvis and hips and all that. And every Celtic fan had heard these rumours and knew that KT wasn't going to have a long career because we played him too much when he was young. That's what I think it was. And people say, "Oh, he's better than Taylor." Right? He maybe be at different specific things, right? But if Brendan Rodgers looks at Alistair Johnson the way he plays the game, KT can't do that on the left-hand side for us. No, do you know what I mean? And then even down to this pick, he can just keep him for big games. You can't go and sign players on this kind of money and stuff like that, just on the off chance that they stay fit or they can only play a certain amount of games and all that part. That just goes against every single thing that Celtic have done for years. I'm with you, Greg. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but I see the more it gets on and drags on, because it was meant to be, it'll be done and dusted as soon as the window opens and all that. I don't think there's as much truth in this as people are giving it credence for.
There's no doubting that Tierney's a far superior player than, or was a far superior player than Taylor was. But that was how many years ago? He went on loan to in Spain, and I think somewhere was it 27 times he played, 1,400 minutes, and it averages out around about 55 minutes per game he's played, which isn't exactly a lot of football when you consider the length of time he was there. But he's injury prone. But again, I'm not wanting it to happen. If it does happen, they would have my full backing, 100%.
Oh, 100%. I mean, just because
I would love him to get back to what he was like, but I just can't see a player having been that injury prone getting back to any sort of a level that he's going to be able to play consistently.
No, I'd agree with that. But if you said there, Jerry, if he signs, he's a Celtic player, you support him. Yep. And I've said it before. I mean, just because you play for Celtic doesn't mean you need to like people. Do you know what I mean? Plenty of guys, stuff they've done, and I mean, even some of the stories about Neil Lennon and that when he was do you know what I mean? The stuff in his personal life, you're a bit a scumbag with women and that when he was younger.
Right. Here's what's interesting as well, right? Digging a wee bit deeper and looking a wee bit closer at this whole situation. Is there a sell-on fee for Celtic with Tierney?
Aye, there was. We spoke about this before, right. Mark.
So if there was a sell-on fee for Kieran Tierney, whose interests would it be that a whole flame of conjecture is raised when he comes to move on? So that Celtic get the best fee.
But he's got to be moved under freedom of contract. They're not going to be entitled to it.
But even beyond that...
Plus as well, the sell-on fees only applies to profit. Do you know what I mean? There's nobody's paying...
So it's for talk's sake, he went for 20 million, and it's 5% over the 20 million you would get back if we put on a sell-on fee. So there's no... Well, not a granny's grey hair they're going to get in.
You don't know if there is or there isn't anything written into the contract for Tierney's next move, and it could be that it's in Celtic's interest to raise speculation about his return to Celtic, because Celtic might be getting a return on wherever he goes. And then you got to look at, could this have been as far back as his move to Arsenal, that something was agreed about the behaviour that ensues in relation to his move from Arsenal, and then just all of a sudden at the foundation dinner at London, there's a nice staged photo of Tierney and Rodgers, and
Well, I think that's where this is all stemmed from.
100% it has.
100%. I think that's where this is all stemmed from.
Let me put this to you. Did that look like just an off-the-cuff photo? Or was there more to the staging of that photo than was meant? All right. Now, I'm not claiming that there's wild misbehaviour within this. I'm just saying we don't know what's at play, and there could be some staged performance happening behind the scenes that we're not even privy to.
And even down to the fact, if he's not, even if Celtic's going out and looking at signing him like on a pre-contract for the summer. Where's he going to spend it between now and the summer? Sitting in Arsenal's bench? Are they going to try and put him out on loan somewhere for 6 months and then...
treatment table.
Injured again. We just say, Jerry, the people going about, he's played so many games in the last few years and the average is so many games. But some of his appearances like during last season, Jerry, they were like 4 minutes, 25 minutes, 14 minutes. So just because you're getting on the park doesn't mean much when you look at the actual minutes he was getting.
Aye.
I think as Celtic fans, we can just be a bit dreamy and a bit sentimental about our previous loves. I'm quite happy to consign Kieran Tierney's history to a wonderful moment in Celtic and the time that I know. But I don't think he would be able to come back and, replay the wonder of what he was when he's younger. It's a non-starter for me, and I wish him well and I hope he's great. But like Big Ange, I don't want to see him back. You leave Celtic, then,
Put it this way, if he comes back and he's not the same player, does he spoil the memories that we had of him?
Yes.
Look at Nicholas.
That's what James Forrest, the blogger, said that. He says he was a great player for us in that. He says, and I mean, he's a bit like me. He's been against it for the very first whisper here. And a lot of things he says I've agreed with. But he says that, he says, I don't want my memories of KT being some guy struggling to get him down the park. Do you know what I mean? Struggling, and playing for a game and then out for 6 weeks and stuff like that. I mean,
mediocre can buy him.
I mean, it's to the same extent, if it is happening, KT's considering or whatever, it's a massive gamble for him as well, because if it doesn't work out, the Celtic support will turn on him.
I was going to say, look at Nicholas with you. As much as you love Charlie, you always look at him on his first stint with us,
Aye.
rather than his second stint.
Aye, when there was a wee starry-eyed boy and Charlie Nicholas was your hero banging in the goals and stuff like that.
That's a prime example. Charlie Nicholas was interested in Charlie Nicholas because he took the option to go to Aberdeen before Celtic, let's remember.
Right, that enough in KT?
Aye, I think so.
Right. What about the other part of Rodgers' first interview, where he was trying to explain about the getting back the way and all the rest of it?
I can understand what he was trying to say, but I don't think he put it across right. I don't think he came across well the way you put it, but I do get what he was trying to say.
I totally agree with you, mate. I think I can understand where he was trying to come from. We all know that the ball can't always go forward, and we've all heard the groans when I've been guilty of it all. When ball gets passed back the way, you crack up. But at times, I mean, don't get us wrong, we've been poor for about 4 weeks now. Easy. That defeat to Rangers was coming. We need to just get out our systems and move on. I think the dark arts that at play here in the media try to find something to make it look as if there's a bit of disharmony in our squad and try to rock us. But I agree with what Rodgers was saying about the passing. But in the same thing, we've said it before, there's passing for the sake of passing. Some of this passing about at the back, teams are just sitting in and waiting. It is hard to break down 11 men when they're behind the ball. Sometimes the ball is going to need to go back to go forward. But there was times, especially against Rangers, when we don't need to be passing the ball about the back. We've got Kuhn, Kyogo and Maeda, who are rapid. We had their defence, it was as slow as a week in the jail. We get one ball over the top, we score for it. Why don't we should have getting our wingers to begin past their fullbacks and just knock the ball over the top, try and stretch the game that way. See the passing for the sake of passing at the back. We're inviting pressure onto ourselves. We need to try and chop and change it. So, although I totally agree that with what Rodgers was saying, some of it was shite as well.
It was a bit patronising. Aye. I mean, here, don't get us wrong, there's people out there in the Celtic support that are that daft, but we need to explain to them like that.
Of course.
As I said, Jerry.
Howlers and all them. All the clubs, but I totally get where he was coming from, but at the same
point... Passing back, you can see, Jerry, when he's talking about they need to try and open up other avenues on the pitch and other... Right, but what he didn't explain is, well, why's Casper Schmeichel getting the ball to Carter Vickers, then to Scales, then to McGregor? It's about 2 years away from Carter Vickers. Then it'll go back to Carter Vickers, then back to Scales, then back to Schmeichel, and then it'll go to Greg Taylor and he'll start coming up the wing. Why is it not going straight out to Greg Taylor to get the move up the wing going?
Of course.
It's the pointless passing about, and it's really pissing me off about Cal McGregor. I don't know where it is, but every time on that park, honestly, the furthest he's ever away from Carter Vickers is about 5 yards.
That's more of a concern for me, Mark, than anything, because there's two things that came to mind for me over the weekend and today, and it's the glaring obviousness that we need to start priming a successor to McGregor, because I think his demise could be a lot quicker. I really hope it isn't, but I've seen such a, not a huge decline, but you can begin to see. And again, he's been overplayed. He's been absolutely overplayed. And I think we need to start thinking about who's the successor to McGregor. But beyond that, today, Brendan Rodgers said a line, and I can't remember it word for word, but it was in relation to Greg Taylor. Brendan Rodgers won't be here after 25-26 season. I think his 3 years tenure will be done. He won't. I think if he was announcing an extension, it would have been announced by now. So I think we need to be doing two things. We need to be looking for who is the going forward the successor to McGregor, and I hope that the boardroom are looking at who will be Rodgers' successor, because that will come on us like a torpedo.
I think he'll extend.
I think he'll extend. Maybe not by up to maybe a year or two, but I think he'll extend. And I don't believe. I know there's others. I don't believe there's a disharmony in the squad at all. I don't believe that for a minute.
I think I think the Celtic squad and even Rodgers, Celtic in that changing room, I think that they're men. Do you get what I mean? They'll bawl and shout at each other. They'll have their say. They'll tell them, "You were shite today. What did you do that for?" And then that's it. It'll be there and done with.
I don't think that happens anymore, Mark. I don't think. Now listen, if you listen to Brendan Rodgers' last press conference, and I always take the time to really listen to what he says, as we all do. But what he said was, if you remember, our players know that our dressing room's a safe space. Remember he said that?
Aye.
And by safe space, he is eliminating, and there's a culture of that whole stoic, blood and thirster hairdryer treatment.
No, a safe space is a safe space in my reckoning is somewhere you can speak your mind freely.
The back of my van.
No. But even when you look into like you kind of like
I totally agree with you, mate. That's what I was thinking of.
Your AA meetings and NA meetings and Gamblers Anonymous meetings, that's a safe space.
What you're
allowed to sit there.
It's
sacrosanct or whatever goes on in that dressing room. I think that's what he meant by that.
See if you go on about culture and value, which is Rodgers, what he talks a lot about. That whole behaviour that we experienced in the 90s, folk going in and kicking bottles and screaming and shouting, that's gone. Believe me, that is a culture that has been rinsed out of football and will continue because of the modern player. They don't expect that. They haven't been brought up with that. So I don't think that exists in Celtic and any other.
I'm not wearing that, Greg, man.
I don't think so, because you look at the way the changing rooms, for talk's sake, the likes of Forrest, McGregor would have been involving Brown and
look at what even Rodgers said about Welsh. Look at what even Rodgers said about Welsh. See, the day when he was talking about it, he'd probably be going out, and well, I think he is actually away now, but during that he said he's been part of the fabric for the club for that long. He's part of the fabric that breeds that mentality that's part of the club and that.
Yeah. Aye, no, I think I agree with what you're saying about say you can have your scream, shout, and give your opinion. Because look at this way, do you think Schmeichel's the type of person that or even Greg Taylor, the type of person that would just sit there and not be screaming and shouting if they thought they were wronged or they thought somebody wasn't
look
trying?
Look at McGregor. McGregor can misplace a pass and then turn in and ball and shout at one of the other players on the park at it.
Aye, okay, that's part. I would be doing that off. I misplace a pass. Try to take the blame off myself.
What Greg's saying, I know. I mean, I've said it for years. The worst thing that happened to Cal McGregor was when Scott Brown left Celtic, and we stopped playing that 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
Because McGregor is never in a million years a CDM. He gets away with it in Scotland, but even the Huns have sussed it out what they've done, what they've done in Europe. Do you know what I mean? If you nullify McGregor and don't give him time to play the game, Celtic struggle. And as a CDM, he struggles. So I've said that for years. If Cal McGregor, see when Scott Brown left and we went 4-3-3 or whatever, Cal McGregor should have stepped up, been moved away from that.
Yep.
Because it's just he's never been good enough. He's let us down so many times at the highest levels in games like that, like in the Champions League and stuff like that. And as a footballer, he's been one of the actual most skillful Celtic players I've seen in a long time. When he's actually allowed to do what he does naturally. CDM was never a natural position for him. His tackling's shite. How many times has he been booked in the first 10 minutes of games in Europe and stuff like that? And then it's do you know what I mean?
Who would you say out of our central midfielders is the most comfortable of receiving a ball in tight spaces, tight situations?
Right now?
Just in general. Who would you say, right? If the receiving...
Other than McGregor?
No, including McGregor.
McGregor.
What about yourself, Marco?
I was going to say Bernardo.
I would... For me, it's a toss-up between him, McGregor, and Bernardo. But the way that Rodgers wants him to play, that's the reason McGregor's in there. Because he can take the ball in tight situations. Granted, see the coming away back to 2 yards away for Vickers or Scales to take the ball. It's just shutting down all his options and inviting more pressure in. But that's the way that Rodgers wants to play with this system. He's not looking for a clugger or somebody big and strong. He's wanting somebody that's comfortable on that ball to try and make passes. But the downside to that, and Rodgers, it's happened in previous teams where he's tried this, you invite the pressure on. Teams know how you're going to play it and set up. You're not deviating for that. So the minute they nullify that man that's going to be the kind of base or the pivot, then it leads to problems for the rest of the team. And saying that,
who was it used to say to put Greg Taylor in as a CDM?
What's that boy's name? The one you kicked off here one night.
I didn't kick him off. He left in the huff because we were slagging KT. I didn't kick him off. He's not
no. It was a boy you had on the chat. It was talking about immigrants.
Oh, right. Because I've said this before, and this might sound absolutely crazy, I know. I'd try Carter Vickers as a CDM.
Don't know. I think he's too slow, mate. Too slow.
He's no skillful enough, Mark.
But just as like you think kind of Victor Wanyama type of CDM.
No, he's not skillful enough. Wanyama had a good bit of skill, and
I don't know if he's as comfortable as quick in the ball.
Carter Vickers is made for being a centre half, and that's it. I could not imagine Carter Vickers playing anywhere else on a football field than centre half, Mark. I just couldn't see it.
What's Ayer up to? I'm back for that. Bernardo could do it.
Engels was doing it in the Bundesliga.
Well, somebody had said that to me. It was Engels.
That was his kind of position. Was it Ausberg or something? There, Brian's like, oh, Mark. Try Kyogo there, but hey, Brian, try Kyogo at CDM.
No, please no. But see, the other thing is, Rodgers has got to get a wee bit of credit. Well, it's his job. But see the way he came out and stuck up for Taylor. That made me happy. That's what I like to hear that. He came out and tried to stick up for Greg Taylor. For all his faults, the way he kind of came across a bit smarmy, he done the right thing there. But that interview today, a bit of a bomb scare. It was like a Celtic game of two halves. First half was not too bad. Then the second half, where he starts comparing the fan base to Swansea's.
That was a boo-boo. That was a
what
boo-boo.
in God's name are you doing comparing us to some two-bit team for Wales?
It's almost as if he was saying the Swansea fans are more educated, more knowledgeable,
More appreciative,
more intuitive than Celtic fans. And I sometimes, but 99% of the time, Brendan Rodgers, he came out with that comment about 3 months ago where he said, the defeated Dortmund makes us better, not bitter. And I thought that was genius, absolutely. But recently, I think there's something beyond Saturday. I think something's happened personally, or he's had a really bad disagreement with one of the background team, or he just seems completely out of sorts over the last two press conferences.
Nah.
He got accosted with somebody at the training centre at 7:30 one morning that upset him, I hear.
Maybe that's what it was.
He's a lucky man if his kid's stoned about that. Lucky man.
He'd have had to get a wee bumper seat out to jump out the rails over it.
The new turkey teeth of his were nearly gone for a wonder. But
there is a real serious issue with McGregor and where we look to looking to replace him, because it's going to be soon.
Who have you got in mind for it, Greg? People are saying Lennon Miller, but I don't think he's not that type. He's like your
I don't know enough about Lennon Miller. I watched two people closely on Saturday. I watched McCowan and I watched Engels. Now, Engels, I think, is a class act just waiting to mature. He had three or four moments on Saturday where he took the ball and he just intuitively, he just chose the perfect pass that was kind of overlooked. Some people were giving it a wee bit of acknowledgement. I think there's a right good player in McCowan, and I think what McCowan needs is he needs a right period of... See if Celtic have got this title wrapped up by, which they have. See when it's completely out of sight. I reckon there's a shout for him giving McCowan a right good run. Because I watched McCowan on Saturday, and he has shown glimpses. There's a right good player in there. And it could be that he is moulding McCowan to be McGregor's successor. I don't know, but I want to see more of him.
Aye. I mean, because of Mikey, we all started keeping an eye on the lad, and we were all delighted when he came in, Greg. But I agree. I want to see more game time for McCowan. Because I mean, it's even down to right, and it's like not even down to Cal McGregor's form as such, you know that. I mean, as I spoke about the other night, he's 31 now. Is Cal McGregor going to be able to play till he's 35, 36?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I don't know. I wouldn't be
surprised.
Maybe,
I'm not saying it could end up like James Forrest. Do you know what I mean? Just that kind of play when he's 34, 35, just on the bench when we need a sub. Cal McGregor's the man to come on. But and over, as you said, Greg, I think it'll be over maybe even the next 18 months. We need to seriously look at and it's like Brett Rodgers mentioned before when he first came in about some like transfers and like sometimes it's like sore. Do you know what I mean? It's like players kind of need to leave or move on for the club or their position in the club for the actual team to progress. Do you know what I mean? You can't just because our things just become stale. Do you know what I mean? You can't. It's like, I mean, it's even going back to the KT thing. You can't keep players in a team if they're not performing well for years just because of kind of sentimentality, because they've been there for years, kind of thing. But for I'd be looking for Cal McGregor as his kind of main man role in Celtic. No, this summer, but the next summer it's got to start winding down for me. And I think again, you're looking at, do you take a captaincy off him? Do you keep him as a club captain, but you've got a different captain on the park and stuff like that?
Every great relationship comes to an end, and McGregor's will be coming to an end. But I was just conscious when I was looking at it on Saturday. It was the first time I'd actually watched him, and I thought, oh, here, wait a minute. Now, I don't know whether or not he's just had a couple of off games, Rangers, and he wasn't at his prime best on Saturday, but it's the first time we actually stopped and thought, hey, wait a minute, who's going to replace this guy?
KT will be captain.
No chance. I kind of agree with what you're saying, but McGregor will get appreciated more when he's not there than he will now. Yeah. I mean, it's the numbers in the games he's played is frightening. But saying that, there was a game, was it the cup game? Near the start of the season, we all expect him to get rested, and he was still playing. So
that was that Falkirk game, wasn't it?
Falkirk game, that was it, mate. None of us picked him to be in our team, and he played the full game.
One of the things that stuck out for me on Saturday, Mark, Jerry, which I don't think folk have spoken enough about, if Nicholas Kuhn hadn't performed the way he did on Saturday, we could have been in trouble. Nicholas Kuhn was, again, outstanding, and what he brings to our team right now is unbelievable. But there was moments where I thought, I was looking at McGregor's performance, and I also thought, here, wait a minute, see if we didn't have Nicholas Kuhn, we could have been in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, that's what he's paid to do.
No, I know, I get that, but he's his value to the team right now is really impressive.
What about talking about Kuhn and what he brings to the team? Jota.
Huh? I mean, I said this for the beginning of the season. See, by the pre-season that Kuhn put in at pre-season the first few games, I said right away that Kuhn was a better player than Jota when he left us.
Yep.
Because even he came in with a better pedigree. Do you know what I mean? He played about in like, I think he played in Germany, didn't he, and in Austria. Do you know what I mean?
It was billed as been dog meat, and he couldn't.
I know.
But that's some clown that brought that Clyde dog up. But Jota came in here as a B player and massively improved. But remember his first season, Jota was an awful hit and miss a lot of the time.
He was hot and cold.
The moment had that 6 months, which get explained all this his teeth stuff and losing all the weight. But for all that's been sorted out, I mean, the numbers he's hit the same numbers as Jota has already, hasn't he? For the best season Jota had ways. I mean, guys are on the forum saying, oh, he'll be off in the summer and that. There's no way that Kuhn will be off in the summer. He will move on eventually, maybe another 2 or 3 years, but we'll get serious money for him. And see, until then, he'll constantly run amok.
A new deal.
Aye.
Signing a new deal.
I would be surprised if Nicholas Kuhn keeps up his performances the way he is right now, and he has a right good performance against Young Boys and Villa. I think there's a very, very strong possibility that he'll go in the summer.
Why?
Because
this is just pure, but this is just what Celtic. This is what Celtic fans do. It's all doom and gloom. Oh, he's playing brilliant. We'll end up selling him. That's his agents came out and said that he's happy as anything here. You can see
I wouldn't believe a word of what agents say, Mark.
The way you see playing on the park and all that. How come every time a Celtic player pushes a boat and sticks out a bit, it's all doom and gloom? Oh, that'll be him. We'll be selling him. I mean, that guy's on the forum the other day, still convinced that Kieran Tierney didn't want to leave Celtic and the board just sold him.
No, that never happened.
But that's the kind of, do you know what I mean? It's like, they're Burnaby shite. We get £4 million for him. Oh, Kuhn's amazing. Oh, we'll sell him anyway. It's just got to be, do you know what I mean? Why not just wait and look a bit positive about it? And then talking about that, you've got another torn face moaning ghetto. And how you doing, Paul?
All good, boy, all good.
Yeah, you had to come on, man. 200 shows.
Good, Paul. Well done for coming on, mate.
I'm just in the door, man.
One.
Just in the door. The roads are bad here, so I just got back from work there, but I saw the text there, so I said, I'd come on. Yeah.
So
where do you want me to rant first?
Just fire on, man. Fire away. We'll see what Greg's got to say. What about KT then with you, Paul?
Oh, I'm in two minds, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's a fit. If we're getting a fit Kieran Tierney, well and all, that's good, like, you know what I mean? But if we're getting the Kieran Tierney that played for Arsenal, he'll play 4 or 5 games, he's going to be out. What's the point in that, like, you know what I mean? You know? That'll be my opinion on it, like, you know? But I was thinking then today, though, with Welch going and stuff like that, is this something Rodgers is going to look at? Maybe 3 in the back with Vickers, Trusty, and Tierney on the left.
Well, I've never given that
like he did with Scotland. Would he use him as the backup centre back or something like that?
I've seen a few people saying that. What if he's not coming in as a left back? What if he's coming in as like your left centre back? But I mean, imagine getting like a Champions League game with Carter Vickers, which he's 6 foot, and KT about 5'9", 5'10" as your centre back pairing.
It's true too, like, yeah. You know.
Have you, Paul? You've never been on with Greg, have you?
No, but I've listened to his quizzes that he did.
His trivia quizzes where he just make up stuff. Just that.
My trivia questions are legendary.
Still trying to convince himself that there was 2 tables at Celtic.
Oh, jeez, that was funny.
You know,
that's a highlight.
Even I was shook about that. Like, I was going, really?
God knows how Bobby funded that, man. But it was
amazing.
That was unreal. That was unreal. Highlight of the 200 pods was Bobby finding that.
Aye. What else, Paul? What's your take on how Celtic? I mean, obviously the Derby game was rough, but are you over that?
Do you know what? I have to agree with Joey there, because I was actually listening to the pod there you did after the game there yesterday, come back from work, and I have to agree with Joey. They were due one, Mark, you know. They were due a win. I think the pressure was on Clermont and he was due a win, but that's their win for the season, I think. Do you get me? They had their fun, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's amazing how actually their league celebrations actually lasted 55 hours. You know, you know, and we're 13 points clear. Do you know what I mean? So they got their celebrations for 55 hours. You know, but yeah, we were always going to expect them to turn up for that game, Mark. You know? But the thing that pissed me off is the way we turned up, and the criticism I saw of Liam Scales, I think was shocking. Like, you're talking about, we saw the same with what's your man that was with Jacinta what was his name?
Starfelt.
Yeah. Like Scales has turned into the whipping boy of that backline. Like, Scales has been immense for Celtic since he's come in, and he's done a good job. He'd a bad game, fair enough. He was shocking. But to tell people like that's the last ball, I hope we see Scales kick a ball. I mean, that's just ridiculous, like, isn't it? You know?
I agree with that, John. Paul. You know what I mean? As I've said, for years we've stuck up for guys like Greg Taylor and that, and I put Scales in the same kind of bracket as Greg Taylor. He's maybe not the greatest footballer in the world, right? He'd a nightmare of a game the other week against him. But what player didn't he? I've said, Paul.
But Mark, you're going back to the point, right?
I'm not getting see that game against Rangers. I'm not getting one Celtic player a pass mark. People are saying, Carter, Vickers and Schmeichel's done well. No, that first goal Schmeichel let in was shocking. And Carter Vickers is still part of the defence responsible for letting in 3 goals.
But I'm looking at it there, right?
You're
looking at a team here, right? That's possession based under Rodgers. Keeps possession. All right? And you have your captain who was taken out of that game. All right? And we're going back to Craig Taylor here. All right? His main focal point when he gets the ball is pass it to the side to Callum Mack. And if Callum Mack is marked, Taylor doesn't know where to put that ball. Taylor won't pass the ball forward. And I've seen it numerous times. All right? But then I'm going to put the blame as well on Bernard and Hatase, who about the gap between them and Callum Mack was ridiculous in the midfield. So if Callum Mack has 2 men on him, taking him out of the game, where's your Hatase and where's your Bernard looking for that ball? Where's the output? They should be coming in looking for that output. Do you know what I mean? But these players are used to this, Mark. They've played this.
That's what happens.
They've played this way on the Ange. Do you know what I mean? But they play this way, Jerry, on the Ange. On the Ange.
They're coached within an inch of their life.
Yeah. You know,
this is the thing. They're coached within an inch of their life instead of saying, right, if you're in a situation, get the ball forward. We've seen it with, you're spot on, Paul. We've seen it with Ange. We've seen it with Rodgers the first time he was here. The players just simply won't pump the ball forward. But yet there's times when if we had pumped that ball forward to let into one of the channels, then we've got a far success rate of A, getting out our own bloody half, and B, getting into their box and getting something to happen. But again, a few of the time where it's Taylor's body positioning, and Scales was guilty as well. He's the way he's receiving the ball, he's shutting off his, particularly Scales, his left-hand side. So he's looking for McGregor at every turn. They've got McGregor hemmed in, so there's no much point in him going there. He's got to go out to the wings.
But then this comes down to Rodgers then as well, to coach that,
but this is
Rodgers should have known. Rodgers should have known the way Clement was going to. He was going to do the exact same he did the cup final.
100%. He showed his hand there, and it's the only where he can play.
Rodgers should be saying here, like, lads, Callum Mack's going to be taken out of this game. To free up Callum Mack, we're going to need you, Hatase, to go in there, or we're going to need Bernardo to go in there to free up. Or if we can't free him up, you receive the ball. You be our pivot to get that ball out. But there was none there. Like, there was,
I agree with you, mate.
It's like Maeda. I mean, see Maeda under Ange. I've said this a couple of times. It was like, it was a robot. Do you know? It's like.
Mark, I think one of the reasons, right?
It's what you're saying as well, but Paul, it's like players are scared to express themselves, kind of thing. There's no kind of freedom. It's like Kuhn gets the ball and it's cut inside. Do you know what I mean? Maeda, it's just the same thing all the time. There's no. It's like see, supposing Alistair Johnson get the ball right. 9 times out of 10, he's mid-height and he spots a Kuhn run and he thinks, I could get him in here, and he tries to hit it. 9 times out of 10, it'll no work. But see, the ones that does work, it's magic. But then it would come down to all the stats guys in that would be like, oh, Alistair, man, you wasted 9 chances there. But the one I did to get go as a goal, we won the game. But the other 9 times you should have took the ball and done this. It's as if it's kind of the players are just so, it's like robotic. It's like, this is your job and this is all you've got to do. This, if you get the ball, you do this way or you do that, nothing else. It's either that or that. And if they can't do either of them, that's where the problems come in, Paul, as you say. If you're trying to pass to Cal McGregor, he's got two guys on him. You're not going to pass to him, sir. But it just says another midfielder should be taking up the space that the second Hun, Martin Callum McGregor's leaving open.
Exactly. Yep. There's going to be space there, Mark. But the problem I have with it, Mark, is McGregor's on top of Vickers and he's on top of Skates and he's looking to receive the ball. Oh, he's trying to show them where to pass the ball. But when he's telling them to put the ball, Hitas and Bernard should actually be there. But they're halfway up the other side. It's like the gap was way too wide. They had it. We always said, like on this podcast, Mark, since we started it, like it's been, these games are won and lost in the midfield. And the last two games, even in the cup final, they won that midfield because they took him out of the game. And Rodgers had no, and he's, as Rodgers says, he's an elite manager. Should know better than that. Like, so I think a lot of, not just the players, and I think that's why Rodgers came out with these comments yesterday, because a lot of the fans put their criticism on him, and he didn't like that. When he came out with these comments,
I've always said, when players go into the pitch, you can't. Do you know what I mean? The manager can't make a player make a pass, kind of thing. It's down to the players on the pitch to put their shift in and get their job done. But Rodgers is the coach. I mean, even what he saw on the pitch, he should have made changes earlier than he did. And that's another thing as well. It's that predictable. It can be gone great. It can be gone shite.
Amber on there at Manchester United there last week.
60 minutes before anything got changed.
On the 35 minutes, Amron for Manchester United took off Xerxes in 35 minutes because he knew it wasn't working. 35 minutes. And we saw after 20 minutes, Hitase wasn't in that game. You know, that something was wrong there.
You can tell after 5 minutes if Hitase's going to be in the game or not.
Aye.
Hitase hasn't been right
for 2 months.
I mean, he's just, when Hitase makes a pass, when it comes off, as you said, Mark, when Hitase makes a pass and it comes off, it's brilliant. But I'm looking at him recently.
And
he's not even lifting his head up. He's not even looking around to where he's putting that pass. It's like he gets the ball, he just wants to get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? It's okay to take a touch. Do you get me? You know, take a touch, get that right pass ahead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
I'm sure he's got Coco the Clown's boots on, man, the way he's playing now. His touch is terrible. He's sliding about out of the park. He should have been dropped ages ago. And how he started against...
but I think it's all right.
What's that, mate?
This is my reason, and I think Rodgers is playing him, is because we actually don't have a number 10 at the club.
No,
and is that why he's playing Hitase to maybe get that, like the likes of Rodgers, Mark, or something like that that could pick out that pass? Do you get me? And that's the reason why he's playing Hitase. You know, we actually don't have a number 10 at the club. Like, you look at all our midfielders at the club.
Right? But we don't really play with a kind of 10 cam player. Do you know what I mean? It's more like we play with a CDM and like two box-to-box midfielders.
But that's and I'll say box-to-box midfielder, though, Mark, is he? Do you know?
Well, what is he?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But I'll tell you one thing here. Know what we're really missing? Matt O'Reilly. That's what we've not. That's. But I'm not saying Engels isn't going to eventually, hopefully, hit the heights of Matt O'Reilly. But that's what I've noticed in that. You're talking about, Paul. That kind of, no an out and out number 10 Cam playing off the striker, but just somebody working in midfield that's got that eye for a passing. And even at
what does McCowan have to do to get a start, Mark? Do you get me? Do you know what does he have to do to get a start? Do you mean he ran Rangers riot last season with Dundee? You know, what does he have to do to get a start ahead of Hitase? Or Do you know?
And even at that, you throw in Paul as well. Do you know what I mean? McCowan. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything just to attack, but it means McCowan knows what that means to play against Rangers. Do you know what I mean? He would never have been. There'd be no qualms about commitment or stuff like that. Kind of idea, but. I mean, but it's one game, and all this nonsense for the press conferences and everything for me is just a kind of float for that.
I think this was.
I think so too.
I think this was boiling up in Rodgers for a while, Mark. The fan stuff and stuff like that. I think this was getting at Rodgers for a while because this didn't come out of nowhere. Do you get me? You know.
I mean, there is, and
when Rodgers is saying
there's a lot of Celtic fans in the. I mean, I'm not slagging it. I'm not slagging any Celtic fans. You're entitled to feel how you feel, but I don't know if it's an age thing or that. But it's a lot of Celtic fans who just seem to think that just Celtic turn up. We should be just humping teams right. Do you know what I mean? Left, right, and centre at Celtic Park. We should be 5-0 up at half time, and if that's not good enough.
That is pretty much the norm, though, Mark, isn't it? That's what we've come to expect. Fans that are of our vintage.
But going back to what you said there, Mark, was it Rodgers that curated this enthusiastic thing for the fans? Do you get me? You know, was it him who created it that we should be outscoring these clubs? We should be holding the ball. We should be things. Do you know what I mean? Like this is Celtic Football Club. I mean, like, I understand what Rodgers saying. It's okay to pass the ball back to start a new attack, but not when you're passing the ball between Vickers and Scales.
That's what
5 or 6 times. Do you get me? You know. I just think at the moment.
No, I was just. I was going to say that. There is a privilege within younger fans, and it is something that I think because of Celtic's form, you just get into a habit of understanding that this is what's going to happen. We're going to have victory after victory after victory. I do agree with what Rodgers said at the weekend, where he said, let's have a bit of patience, trust the manager, trust the team, and I go with that. I don't particularly like when there is a bit of tension in the ground and the fans turn on the team pretty quickly. I've never been up for that. I do go with the whole patient approach and supporting the team. But I think that is born out of a complete privilege of younger fans who just think that we turn up. As you get a bit older, there is a level of patience that you develop. And I think also it's another interesting thing to consider. Fans also remember this exact time last year when things were not going great. The horseshoe football was on display. And that gave us such a fright that if we ever see it again, we think, oh, holy moly, here we go. And we start freaking out. But the team has turned a corner. We are better. And I'm with Rodgers when he says, just calm down and support the club rather than allowing tension to come into the stadium.
I mean, as I said as well, as soon as after the Derby game, as soon as it finished, right, it's a Syrian. I mean, I didn't speak to anybody all night, I don't think. But see, come May, when you've got the league flag flying, nobody's going to say, but what about that game Rangers pumped us 3-0? It's like a League Cup game. It's still like cup football. It's like, as long as you're in the next round for the draw, like, we can sit and, I mean, it's not as if people going about, you use days moaning that. We're not moaning, we're just talking about Celtic, good stuff, bad stuff, whatever, and different stuff.
It doesn't matter, Mark. It doesn't matter.
At the end of the day,
clear.
As long as you get through the cups, as long as at the end of the season you've got the league flag, certain performances and results they're insignificant.
Do you know,
it's just happened and it's still wrong. I still think that's a bit of what Rodgers was carried into his press conference, especially at the weekend. But I think a lot of that, the fans carried the Derby defeat into their quote-unquote performance, if you want to call it that.
Here's a wee boomerang for you, just to deviate away from the Rodgers chat. Best Polish player to play for Celtic?
Fucking hell.
Oh, Paul will be the expert on that, but I'd probably...
Boric, I say, won't this?
Well, it'd be Boric or Dovcek for me.
Dovcek?
Or Marchev Juraski, the striker.
No, it's got to be
Jakinovsky.
Boric has
No,
got to be, man.
Jakinovsky was too drunk to be a good football player. No, but he was. No, Jakinovsky was like still one of the kind of skillful players. He had hundreds of skill, Paul, but
If Jakinovsky hadn't have scored those 4 games in that game against Partizan Belgrade, his enigma wouldn't be as high as what it was. That's what solidified him as the Polish god to the fans the night against Partizan Belgrade. But I'm trying to think of who my favourite. I actually was a big fan of Dariusz Dobček. I thought he was. Remember he scored a left foot screamer against Rangers.
aye,
Despite your deflection, but
Magic,
that just came into my mind there.
Magic.
I went Zaravsky, then who was it? Pavel Brocek as well.
Was he not Croatian?
No, I think he was Polish, Brocek. But no, it was going to be Boric, 100%.
No, Dovček's got to be up there as well.
Nah, I couldn't really remember.
Rosky, if he played.
I got that Dovček signature one time, but I think it was his signature. It looked kind of Polish.
What about tomorrow night, Mark? What's happening? What we thinking?
Hold on. How can a signature look Polish?
Well, it was out of the camp, so he must have been half cup when he signed it. No, I won a ball in a raffle and it had all their names.
I've got
above it.
Paul, mind that one I signed Bawz it was about a year ago. Mind I sent you a picture of it, but I didn't win it. It was my mum's hairdresser won it and gave my mum it to give. I've not got a clue who signed it or no.
When was it for you?
Just last year.
Listen, I used to work with a boy that his nephew played with Celtic, and we were in the van one day and he pulls out this bag. He says, "Here, grab a pen for us." I was like, "What is it?" And he was getting me to sign Bawz and stuff and all that. I said, what are you doing this for? He says, "Oh, I'm sick of getting asked to go and ask him to sign stuff, so I just sign it myself." He says, "Nobody ever knows." And that
definitely.
was him signing the Bawz and signing. It was only like 3 balls and 2 taps, but he was signing it. He was getting me to sign it so it was not the same signature and then getting a different pen. Fly as anything. Probably charge the boy a couple of pints at the pub for it, right enough.
Here's another one. Who was a better keeper, Boric or Gordon?
Boric, 100%.
Boric. Jesus Christ, without a doubt. Jesus Christ, is that even a question?
I'd go for Gordon.
Fuck off.
Alex.
Kick him out the van, Jerry. The mobile units disbanded.
Aye. He's
pull the fuse out and drive away.
Gordon done a job for us, but it's Boric all day long.
I thought Gordon was great.
Best thing I ever saw Craig Gordon do was when Edward fucking panicked him in the cup final and he was like a dog afterwards. The best thing I ever saw Gordon do.
But,
for the day he signed, I put it on the forum and that, right, just watch Craig Gordon, and many times he just palms the ball right into an attacker's foot. And he done it so many times I get for
it was weak.
It's like he's gone back to hating Celtic, Mark, isn't it, since he's went home.
Plus he took me summer off of Celtic TV, the prick.
That's it. That's exactly it. Well done.
Is he still playing?
Aye.
42.
Aye. He's in the Scotland squad, does he know?
For God's
sake.
For Hearts at the weekend against Dundee United.
Aye. What's your team for tomorrow then, Marco?
I'd start John Joe Kenny up front.
John Joe. It's Johnny Kenny.
Is it Johnny? No, who was John Joe? That Everton donkey we got, wasn't it?
Just
right, Paul, what's your take on him before because we finish up? I think Jerry needs to get away shortly. So what's your take on this guy, that Johnny Kenny guy, playing on Ireland?
Well, the first time he was here, but this is my concerns with him now at the moment, is the first time he came to Celtic, he actually couldn't settle, right? And he has to go back to Ireland. All right, so that's why he actually went back to Sligo that time first, and then he went down to Shamrock Rovers for a second loan spell. He's come back now. He says he's ready. I don't know, Mark, really.
Well, Paul, we've spoken about it, right? And I'll say this. See, he scored in the League of Ireland and that European Conference League, what he's scoring in. He's not
but
playing
Mark, I go
against
back
any.
to then
He's
as
not
well,
playing
like,
against. He's not playing against any players that are that much better than your kind of St. Johnsons.
But I'm going back then to Mark
Motherwells.
then, like, he's a good striker in a Shamrock Rovers team. Do you get me? Will he be a good striker in a Celtic team? I don't know. Do you get me? I'm not saying
Give him a chance.
Against your teams like Motherwell and that, Paul. He's got to be. I mean, if you're scoring the amount of goals, you've got something about you, in my opinion.
Oh, he does, Mark. He does.
Strikers do you know what I mean? That Kyogo's missing, basically. So I think he deserves it. I think he does. I was only kidding about starting him.
Without doubt, Mark, he deserves to see what he can do. Like, and you know, I mean, I hope it works out for the lad. But if we're looking
who starts up front tomorrow, Kyogo or Ida?
Ida.
I think we need to give Ida a run of games.
What about yourself, Greg? Who are you going for?
And that's just my opinion. I think this stop starting. I think this stop starting in Adamida isn't doing him any benefits at the moment.
He's not done the same job as he done last season. He's not hit the heights, and he needs to get the games.
But is he getting the service then as well, though? Like, do you know, like when I see Kyogo playing, right? Okay, when I see Celtic playing up front with Kyogo, we're not playing to Kyogo's strengths. To get me, we're crossing the ball in to Kyogo, and then when I see Adamida come on, we're playing to Kyogo's strengths. We're playing we're playing like the ball over the top. You know, like
Marco. Who would you say is the more natural striker, Kyogo or Ida?
Kyogo.
Ida. And
who would you, if you to put money on getting 30 goals a season out of the two of them, who would it be?
Kyogo.
Ida.
Would you reckon Ida is the man capable of getting us 30 goals a season?
No chance.
I don't think Kyogo is either. I wouldn't say he was, but I think Kyogo, if Ida is a number one choice, it's like, for me, it's like...
I think Kyogo's going to be...
I'd love to see that, like a Dembele striker back.
I think Rodgers, this is just my opinion, is going to get rid of Kyogo in the summer.
Aye.
He'll get rid of Hitase. Because I know Kyogo gets goals and stuff like that, but since Rodgers came in, Kyogo's goal rate has actually dropped. Like, we all know Rodgers wants kind of other players to kind of share the goals. And you look at Kuhn this year, like the amount of goals he's banging in, you know, and Dyson Ida. I can see Rodgers sell Kyogo. That's the honest truth.
I definitely think Kyogo's away in the summer, and I think and we will bring in a new main striker.
I definitely think we need a striker. I prefer one in the now, this window. I think we need a number one striker.
I think that's going to happen more than Tierney, a good striker in the window.
Be hard to get a good top kind of striker in, but in January,
I'd love to see an out of favour seasoned pro. I always remember a few years ago, Lazio signed Edin Dzeko for their European run, and he starred. I don't think it's a Rodgers type signing, but there's got to be some. That would be I'd love a really
Defoe with him.
That's what I mean. I'd love a Jermaine Defoe type striker, someone who knows European football, knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. They might only have to get 45 minutes out of him, but I think that'd be a really skilled signing. I don't know if he's out there. But
there's your answer there now, Mark. There's your answer.
French
or striker for that, out of contract at the end of the season. French Eddie back to Celtic.
He was too hot and cold, and I wouldn't touch another Frenchman, to be honest.
Edward's day's gone.
You know, not the same player since he left Celtic, like, isn't he?
I would have definitely took Dembele back.
Aye, that ship sailed. See all these players coming back, man.
I know, but aye. Well, that's the one of the reasons as well.
Like, you leave, you don't come back.
Is maybe the price tag affecting Adamida, do you think, this season?
No. I think it's the messing about in the pre-season and the stop starting with the games.
No pre-season any kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Fair dues, he trained under Rodgers last season for 6 months, but he still had a shitey pre-season. But eventually the deal got out. He's not getting a run of game time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy showed he knows where the goal is.
Aye.
He showed us that in the 6 months he was here before. He scored a few this season, but I think he deserves a run in the team just to
definitely,
build his confidence and build his match sharpness, but right up to the levels that we saw last season, where he was hungry, he was chasing everything down.
It was very poor first half on Saturday, Mark.
Aye.
It was.
But that's it. I mean, who was there again? It was a bit of a slow start. So you're not going to pick. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to pick that out, you can pick out. Well, was it get back to? Well, just go back. We'll blame Greg Taylor for it.
Aye.
Do you know what? Right. It's just like
Scales was pushed, eh?
Did Craig Taylor see that time Greg had no money and they offered him less money than Celtic? And he said, did he decide he's staying at Celtic? Did he?
No, I never expected Greg Taylor to leave in this window.
Yeah, but apparently there's talk. I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard, he's on 20 and he's asking for something like 36. I don't know if there's truth in that, but that's certainly what I've heard. And if that's the case, I think a player like Taylor, who has been a big part of the team for the last 4 seasons, is in a position where his representatives are in his ear saying, you're as important to this team as Callum McGregor or Peter Schmeichel, and they're getting close to 40 grand a week, so we're holding out for the most we can get. And I think it will probably it'll fall to pieces because of the demands of his agent. Because these agents have so much power in the ears of the players, it's unreal.
I tell you, there was I don't know, I forgot the boy's name now. There was linked with signing a pre-contract for the Burnley captain, centre mid. Did you see that?
No.
I see that there was talk of signing, looking to sign him on a pre-contract. The Burnley captain, centre mid.
I think that's the guy Scott Parker fell out with at the weekend as well.
I don't know.
There was an interview with Scott Parker, and I think he was talking about
Brownhill. Aye, that's it, Bobby. I knew you would know. Brownhill, that's him. So another Brown at centre mid. But he's 29 or something.
I was just going to say that. I thought he was older than that. I thought he was in his 30s.
Aye, it took me surprised when I thought, what? But I don't know if he's maybe wanting a bit of experience or what. I don't know nothing about the guy. I just see
I saw a great one today. It was on X, and Rangers fan put it up. He says, we'll be expecting to break the Scottish record for selling the player. That Cheney is worth about 30 to 35 million. One fellow replied back to him, you do know he's on loan.
I just surprised me. You think they're going to get
you do know he's on loan. Do you know what I mean? You don't even know who they have in their squad that that he's on loan. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ, man. You know.
They think they're going to get big bucks for that boy that scored the hat trick at the weekend, dig me? But let them. They thought El Buffalo was worth 30 and they get.
Aye.
If they got offered 5 million for him, Rangers now at the moment financially are like we say Kilmarnock and Motherwell. If they get 5 million for him, they're in no position to refuse that money.
No.
That's where that club is at the moment.
Well, Greg, what's your take on this link about with the Man United keeper? Buying there, whatever it is.
Oh my God, man.
For Celtic.
I know Paul's a bit of a fan.
I don't know. I mean, what that would say to me is that it would raise big question marks over the boy they brought in from
Sinisalo.
If I suppose I think the issue here is Schmeichel said that he's moving on after a season. We don't know if he has.
See, that's what I was talking about. If
Schmeichel said that he's moving on, because remember Joe Hart last year came out in January and said he was done. So sometimes they want to know, and maybe it might have got out that Schmeichel has said, right, Gaffer, at the end of the year I'm off, and you do need to start.
Mark, we were linked to him as well before.
Well,
and Rodgers was linked to him as well at Leicester.
I think it's just that I don't think there's anything in it apart from what Greg's going to say if Schmeichel leaves it next summer. I think it's one of the ones because Celtic need to look at all eventualities.
Well, the concern for me, right, is if they know that Schmeichel is off at the end of the season, we cannot have another goalkeeping calamity. So what I would like to see right now, if the league is wrapped up, which it appears to be, we need to start giving this guy a run in the team, and we need to start giving McCowan a stronger run in the team. Because they may have watched this guy over the last 6 months and thought, crikey, this he's not going to cut it, so we're going to have to start looking for another keeper. If they don't think he's got it, then he'll probably not get a run in the team, and that's why they're looking at someone like the Man United boy at the moment. But that's another concern. If Schmeichel goes, which he could, then we need to get an immediate replacement of note, and that'll be difficult.
See, that's what I took when I read. I know it's garbage, Paul, but
was bad. Jesus
Christ, I just thought when a link with Celtic, I thought, no, that's just, even if there is a link, it's just, it'll be in the off chance of Schmeichel not taking up the year's option.
Listen, we're halfway through. Mark, we're halfway through the season, and Sinisalo hasn't even come on as a sub. So there's got to be big question marks over this guy. Now, if Sinisalo doesn't get a run in the team, even in the cup games, in the early rounds of the Scottish Cup, then I don't think he'll even be brought into the team next season.
Like I seen this fella against Spurs, and the corner came in and top of him, and it went over his head. He flapped at the ball.
Who's this?
The Manchester United keeper.
Oh, right,
flapped at the ball.
Somebody else has said he's bomb scare.
I tell you who I like.
Oh my God!
No, definitely Jerry.
This is a wild shout, but I like him. Dabrowski at Wraith Rovers.
Oh, jeez. No, come on. I know. Hold on. He's just pulling his Eleanor off.
I'm telling you.
No.
I've watched
Put the tinfoil down, Greg.
Aye, spoon burner.
Put the tinfoil down.
Next week we go back
then,
to
I'm going to
Foster.
need to shoot, boys. But I'll give you my team for the morrow before I rock and roll. It's got to be Schmeichel, AJ, Trusty, Vickers, and, well, this is
Taylor.
my team. It's going to be Taylor. And then Engels, McGregor, McCowan, and Kuhn, Maida, and Ida up top. What's yours, Gregor?
I'll give you mine. Mine will be Sinisalo in goal.
Aye.
A back four of Valle, Dane Murray.
I was going to put Dane Murray in it, I know.
Stephen Welsh used to give us a farewell wave. At right back, I'll go for Tony Ralston. That means we'll get beat 3-0. In the middle, I'll go
whoa, don't be slagging Tony Ralston on here, boy.
No, I know. I can't after his tackle against Hibs last season. Not in all seriousness, I'll go for Schmeichel, a back four of Taylor because it's his 200th game. I'll go for a centre-back pairing, CCV and Trusty. Alistair Johnston on the right. I will go for, I think he's going to rest McGregor, so I'm going to go for a midfield three of Engels, McCowan and Bernardo, and I'm going to go up front. I think he's going to rest one of Kuhn or Maida. So, and this will sound mad, but I'm going to say that he's going to go for Yang, Kyogo, and Maida up front. I'm sorry, Kuhn up front.
It was trying to rest. No, how that? You've got
Many players is that? Many players is that?
Yang, Maida, Kuhn.
A front three of Yang, Kyogo, Maida.
She's resting Kuhn.
Sorry. He'll rest Maida Kuhn.
Right, that's it kicked in now, man. He's got a good done now. Aye, I'm still none the wiser what his team was.
If you're needing any heavy duty smack, just getting touched with Greg here.
Aye.
He's sitting outside Celtic training going punting
back Jakinovsky.
Aye, bring back Jakinovsky. Right, guys, it's been emotional. God bless and take care, everybody, all right?
Right, good night. No bother. Good night, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jerry and Greg. You take, Paul. Unless they're in, you want to rant away about the now?
No, it's good to see.
I know you say you're just in for work and that, know what I mean? But
it's good to see Blackburn Rovers having a pop at a TikTok prod in his YouTube channel
I
dancing.
saw that. You're the first person I thought of that. He'll be sitting in his motor somewhere eating his lunch at work, laughing at that.
Jesus Christ, man! I think, look, what Rodgers is saying and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like going back to what Craig was saying there, like the fans do need to get behind the team, Mark. When things aren't going our way, we need to get behind the team. You know, and stuff like that. Like we, you know.
I mean, for me, I mean, I can see what Rodgers was meaning, but again,
the way he said it,
August, you didn't come across well the way you said it. But for me, this all comes back to a hangover of anger for the Derby game, Paul.
Definitely.
Between the fans, between the players, between Rodgers. I mean, even down to the people, all the stuff about Greg Taylor. He just ran up the tunnel. The guy had got his nose busted open and just been cracked an ankle. He went up to get some.
Exactly, and Mark, and again, there's been nothing on the papers or Sky Sports or any media outlet about the coin being thrown at Ingles and the coins being thrown at the Celtic dugout again at Ibrox.
I know.
You know, again at Ibrox. And we're expected then to let them into our stadium in the next derby. Is that what that? I wouldn't let them in, Mark.
No, I wouldn't let them in. I mean, fair dues in that. You're right. You can hide behind the excuse, it's an ongoing police investigation. But even apart from that, where's the SFA's investigation into it happening at Ibrox again and again and again? Going back to that happened there. I mean, then we can go back to even the glass when it mined in Joe Hart's box and stuff like that and everything.
Yeah. You know,
I said it before.
I said it before. It's on here as well, Mark, saying it. Them throwing stuff into the Dundee United fans when they're at Ibrox. You know, it is a horrible, horrible place. Like,
I mean, I said it before the Derby game because I thought we were going to romp. I'll be honest about that. But I said before that I hope Celtic have made sure and spent money on good security, because if we'd went 2 or 3 goals up early doors in that game, things would get really, really ugly.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But Bobby, is that? I don't know if that's actually settled yet. Is it? Are they actually getting in?
I don't know, Mark. I think it was just after the next derby at Ibrox then that they were going to reconsider that. Yeah. I think it's still going to be a kind of, I think it's still going to be who's blinking first kind of job. Well, there Bobby saying it's done and dusted. Yeah,
I mean, I know Celtic put up all the nets and stuff because they done trials for one of the European games or something like that. But I mean, what have they done? I mean, they couldn't even have their stadium ready for the start of the season. So what have they done to make sure that Celtic, not just their fans, their staff and players are going to be safe?
Mm-hmm. Or their wives, you know. It's what they are. It really is, Mark. And the lack of what you said there, like the lack of stuff coming out from the Scottish FA it's just ridiculous now at this stage. Like, you know, a stadium ban, but that only benefit Rangers. They've got a stadium ban. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's like, I mean, you go down to England, Paul, or you see if you even went out to Spain, see if that, but I know things have happened like periodically, all these derbies and stuff across, but see if there's this kind of consistent, kind of that level of, like, illegal stuff, like throwing stuff on the park and hitting players, putting glass on the park and all that stuff. No matter what team it is, the FAs in these other countries they've stepped in.
Yeah. Stepped in, Brian. That's it, Mark. But no,
most of these other countries are covered with that strict liability, which is something that, I mean, we spoke about that on podcast before. It's something that Scotland really should be looking into bringing in. The same way as what England done, bringing in this kind of independent overseer of football that's got no kind of ties to any club or any game, and just making sure that everything's been kind of done above board. But the SFA turned up at the Scottish Parliament and says, we don't need that. We're quite capable of running Scottish football. When they're quite clearly no.
No, they're not, Mark. Jesus Christ, they're not.
They're not fit for purpose.
Even Jonas would tell you that, Mark, when he goes to Ibrox or not just Ibrox, when he goes to Aberdeen. Do you know, it seems to be the same three clubs over and over again. Aberdeen, Hearts, them. You know, that's.
Cheers, Foxy, bud. Thanks for coming in, mate. Espatona, sorry, I didn't see your name. I didn't see you were in there. Thanks very much for coming in. We're just winding it up to you, but thanks again for coming in. Hope everything's all right with you, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks very much for coming on, bud.
No bother, boy. No bother.
What have you got to say?
I said maybe Rodgers expanded. What is that? It's this one. Maybe Rodgers has
an ulterior motive, like moving to the. No, see that again. It's just people.
I think Rodgers is going to sign another contract, Mark.
People are just reading. It's like they're ripping every word that Rodgers has said, and it's how can we spin that into a negative?
But Mark, you look.
You know
at
what
that,
I mean?
right?
It's just that's the way it is. Celtic. I don't know what
and
it
I
is.
was thinking about the Craig Taylor stuff there today, and Rodgers going on like it's disrespectable that they were singing about another player in that position. Celtic have been singing about Jota last season when you have a legend at the club, James Forrest, who's been there his whole career, he's actually our joint highest trophy landed player now at the moment, James Forrest, and he still has no song about him. Do you see James Forrest storming down the pitch when Celtic fans sang about Jota? I think Taylor needs to grow a pair of balls, Mark. This is football. Do you know what I mean? You know, Celtic fans have to have a right. They're talking about potential signing coming into the club. But the Celtic fans are going to talk.
I don't think that's why Taylor ran off the pitch. He ran off the pitch because he no longer did his nose bust, and then just after that, he'd been cracked in the ankle and went down injured.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's just shit, and he knew he had to go down. You know, wouldn't bother me if he stayed, Mark. Wouldn't bother me if he left. That's me.
No, Paul, we spoke about Taylor enough on here over the years. You know what I mean? You know, I liked him. I like him as a player just because he gives everything he's got, every single game and stuff like that. But can Celtic improve on Taylor? 100%. I've never denied that fact.
But Mark, it's going back to then, right?
Right.
We brought in this sort of Tuesday.
What's the weakness? What's the weakness of the Celtic team? Everybody's going about and all the opposition managers are just going to pinpoint that the left-hand side.
The whole not the left-hand side. I think
bringing back Kieran Tierney straight, stopping that. They're still attacking that left-hand side and just cracking.
Why I think, Mark, but what I think, Mark, is why Taylor is actually suffering so much this season is under Brendan Rodgers, Maeda and Kuhn don't track back as much as we did under Ange. Do you get me? Maeda's role, Mark, under Ange was, as you said, a workhorse. Do you get me? Just run out over the pitch, get the ball, break up. Do you know that was kind of Maeda's role under Ange. You want this? Just track down, just run at the ball. But he's not doing that, Mark, at the moment. And what's happening with Taylor, right, is when he comes into the inverted full back role, right, we all know Taylor has a lack of pace. He's unable to get back. But under Ange, Dyson Maeda was there. So we didn't see these flaws in Taylor. But now we're actually seeing these flaws in Taylor. When he comes into inverted full back, Mark, it's either Scales or Trusty have to come out. And Scales and Trusty aren't comfortable out in that. Oh, do you know, get me out wide?
Left back
outside there, Mark. And that's where I think Taylor's actually getting caught out at the moment because, Mark, all players at the moment, they're not tracking back. You know, Maeda now would go back now and then and he'll get a few tackles and stuff, but he's not doing as regularly, Mark, as he did under Ange. You know, you can see the whole. You never see Alistair Johnston come in, and maybe that's a tactic by Rodgers, that this is Taylor's role, all right? Okay? But when Taylor comes in, Mark, you can just see the whole left-hand side of our pitch is open. It's open. And whoever goes in there, you're more than likely they're going to get that ball. And I think, and I agree with G-Doc here, Mark, and I think a winger is actually, for me, it's the most important. Left side wingers is most important signing we can do this season, because I think he's knackered.
There'll be a winger brought in this window.
He's knackered, Mark. You can see it, Mark. He's knackered. You know, you can see it. He's knackered. Between all this travelling with Japan, it's grand with the players, Mark, going away for Europe. They're probably just going to Belgium, France, and stuff like that.
We fancy short haul flights and that.
Exactly, Mark.
That long haul.
Flying in on Thursday night, Mark, or Friday morning, and then you're playing against Saturday, Sunday. You know, it takes a lot.
Jet lag. That's what I'm looking for. Time lag.
So I think it'd be interesting to see, Mark. You know what I mean? You know, will Rodgers get the signing that he wants, or like as you said there, Mark? Like, January's not easy to sign players, like, you know. But where's Is it Tisdale? Is it? Where's he on this? Where's he on scouting?
Well, that's it. I mean, even the players, Paul, the players have even been linked with in the media and stuff like that. And I mean, don't get us wrong. See, like, I'll be honest. I mean, see, with like Ed 2 passing away the other month, that's cut off a lot of information I used to get, kind of thing. But the players were even linked with it. These guys have been linked with in the past, ex-players. Why? So Celtic, we've brought in new scouts and everything. So we brought in Tisdale, right? We've got an elite manager, this director of football operations, new scouts, all this data-driven stuff and all that. And we come up with, we'll go and get Kieran Tierney, and we'll go and, what about Jota? Do you know, I mean, if that's the best Celtic can come up with, is Kieran Tierney. For me, the scouting department's no doing its job.
I was reading a thing there about Jota, Mark, in Spain, and a lot of the fans over there are actually complaining about him, how actually overweight he actually is as well at the moment.
In France, France has his way. Rennie, is it no, in France?
Yeah, that he's actually overweight, and
because he's hardly played any football, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, would he be the same player, Mark, when he comes back to us? I don't know, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think he's allowed back. I've seen for all the tax stuff and all that, for going, I don't think he can sign he can come back to the UK in January anyway. So if Celtic weren't interested in signing Jota, it would need to be the summer. Mm-hmm. Something about it needs to be out he needs to have no stayed for so many months in the UK for the last 2 years to get away with that, the tax stuff, like that Jordan Henderson went to Ajax to get away from that stuff like that.
Yeah, I get you.
All the money if they come back to you, but if they spend so many days in the UK for the last day they were here or something like that, they're liable for UK tax on their earnings outside the country or something. So any talk about Jota coming back this window's out, that's not happening for me at all because of that reason. But again, I don't want Jota to come back. Go and sign the next Jota.
Yeah.
Go and sign the next 19-year-old for Benfica that we can sell for 25-30 million £.
Exactly, man.
Go and sign that instead of KT. I know we came through our academy, but go and I don't know. Go and ask the question of Baye. I mean, I've said it on the other podcast, Paul. Right, Baye. Right, he was only coming for the season. That was always quite clear. But other players have come into Celtic for a year and fell in love with the club. How do we know that he's maybe no?
Barcelona obviously gave him a new contract to sell him. You know, because he was in the last year.
What Spurs were doing with Carter Vickers every year. They was sign that.
Get money for him. You know, ask the question. Like, you know what I mean? He says he likes it here. He says he likes playing under Rodgers and stuff like that. Like, I mean, ask the question. Like, you know what I mean? You know.
He might only be here for 2 or 3 years, but we'll make money off him. But keeps the trading.
Give Barcelona the first approval to buy him back. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
I mean, it's just. I mean, and again, I keep harping on about it with the KT. It just goes against everything that Celtic have said they've done for signing players. They're nothing. Do you know what I mean? If KT hadn't played for Celtic, who would want him? Who would want Celtic to sign him?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only
Exactly.
reason that's pure. It's like a kind of thing. It's a kind of deal that Peter Lawwell would pull off.
But who do you think it is, Mark? Like, it's definitely Rodgers, because you can clearly see that Tierney likes Rodgers as well, and Rodgers is fond of him as well. So I think this is actually a Rodgers signing. And what made it strange about his comments about Taylor, me leaving much, because if Tierney comes in, he's going to drop Taylor after the comments he said.
But I said that, Paul. See some of his comments the other day, and he kind of the way Rodgers spoke about it. It's as if either there's no truth in it, or is it a move that Rodgers is sanctioning? Is this what he's wanting? I mean, how can Rodgers realistically have a long-term plan for building a team on a player with the injury history of KT and bring him in and he can play 25, 30 games a season? Well, that still means he's missing 25 or 30 games a season.
Exactly. And is that why he wants Taylor, Mark, to stay as well?
What games is he going to be fit for? You can't plan for that.
No, exactly, Mark, yeah.
It just goes against any common sense driven, whatever way you want to put it, option for Celtic. For me, if any played for Celtic, I don't think it'd be any even hint of a move for him. But even it's the type of player, Paul, that the Huns would go and sign. An injury-ravaged Premier League player. But we'll sign him in a free transfer on the hope that he stays fit and the hope that we can maybe get money for him in the next couple of years.
There's one thing as well I just want to bring up, and it's not about the first team. It's about this young lad Cummins, who is actually in the last year of his contract, Mark, and I'm surprised Celtic haven't even started to negotiate a new contract with him yet. How well he's actually doing in the B team and at European level with the B team. The young lad hasn't even been on the bench or trained or something like that with the first team, as far as I know, yes, has he?
Not that I know of, Paul, either, and I know a lot of fans think the same about the young lad. I don't really know that much about him. I just with what I'm reading, again, there's just that dysfunctional. Do you know what I mean? That path we've spoke about, that pathway into.
Well, it's like this is what Darren O'Dea kind of new role market did that he was supposed to come into, like, you know what I mean?
But again, Paul, for me, this is the kind of thing that Tisdale should be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that Tisdale should be looking at, and what he can bring and change to things like that. Because I mean, there's definitely and there's not even any point in beating it. I'm not beating about the bush while we're talking about the bush, to quote Brendan the day, but it's all down to this B team nonsense doing in that Highland League.
Ridiculous, Mark.
They're not going. Young players aren't going to improve playing against amateur 30-odd-year-old guys with a hangover on a Sunday morning.
Like I said this to you loads of times, Barry. Like when I'm over in Poland, I see amateur football clubs with better stadiums than they have in Scotland. And you see the young players coming through Poland now, like, and it's there's a new generation of Polish players coming up, and it's going to take them a while to click. All right, but the next Polish generation will be some team that they have a goalkeeper at the moment. He's over in America. He's only about 18, 19, I think. And this fella's, Mark, this fella will be the next big thing, you know. I forget his name. Don't even ask me his name, because
even if you could mind that, I wouldn't ask you to pronounce it.
You know, but he's playing in America because he studied in America, and that's he got a scholarship kind of a thing, you know. But he's supposed to be the next. There's a young generation of Polish players coming up, and I'm actually surprised, Mark. We're not looking over there, and I think like, but I said it to you before we signed Rocky that I'm actually surprised. The reason he came to our attention is when we went in for Juranovic. They spotted him, all right? They spotted Nowosky, but he was injured at the time. And they went back in for him in January at that same season, and he picked up another injury. But Celtic then went in for, just before Rodgers came in, and they signed him. He's only played about, only a handful of minutes, Mark, for a very young player. Like, and I was actually surprised. And Lega, what Monica's cousin was laughing when we signed him. The amount of money we gave him for him. You know, he said he couldn't believe it.
Right, I meant to say that.
You know, couldn't believe it. And I read another thing there as well that it was on Discord about how much money Celtic have actually wasted on players and stuff like that, like who've kind of young players, Mark, who never made it. And I think it's Celtic spent over 65 million on 30 youth players who've made less than 20 minutes first team football. I don't know who they are. But
you could believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I even say,
you could put the long lad, what's his name, Mark?
But Paul, I mean, it's look at Ange, right? Ange, you go to his he goes to Kyogo, he goes to Maeda, and well, when Hattati's good, he's good. He goes to Hattati, but look at the shite he signed as well.
True, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, even under Ange, under Rodgers, when it was Peter Lowell pulling the strings, under Neil Lennon, under Ronnie Dyler. I mean, Paul, how many times our 200 shows, even before we actually started doing pods, whenever I've ever said is I've got no qualms whatsoever with the money Celtic spend on transfer fees and wages. It's how they spend it. Spend the transfer bill and the wage bill more wiser. That's all they needed today. And across all them, for as long as we can remember, but going back to 2008, 2007 times, do you know what I mean, with Stephen Fletcher and stuff like that for Hibs?
Mm-hmm.
Celtic have always been so scattergun with their kind of transfer approach.
And it seems to be happening
It shouldn't have been that.
It shouldn't have
been like that.
It seems to be, for every Kung we're going to sign, it seems we'll sign another 3 bad players to get me.
Aye.
You know, that's what it looks.
When you get to the kind of, I know what I mean, we're sitting there, we've got the elite level manager sitting there, we've got plenty of money in the bank, and we goes on about the data driven stuff and all this kind of part. So now you're hoping that we're being run right and we're getting these kind of the players in there, matching the model of what we're looking at, not just for the here and now, but for the next couple of seasons. And that's the model, rather than, I mean, Celtic, right, Engels he came in and he played well. He had a quiet spell. He's coming back, showing him what he can do. Engels will be turning out a fantastic player for Celtic. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
He would have started Mark against Rangers if he wasn't ill.
Aye, but he's still a young boy. He was in a new country when he was in Germany because he's from Belgium, whatever. But he's at a massive, massive club at Celtic. The actual focus on him, every aspect of his life.
I think just going on, well, I have to go soon, Mark. Just going on what Ken is saying there about Dane Murray. I think that him getting called back as well was to do with the
Welsh
quarterback.
So Welsh can get in loan.
So Welsh could go on loan. But Mark, I was actually impressed with him when he played in the European games that time. Against Midtjylland and stuff like that, Mark, he played against them, didn't he? When he was thrown in the deep end there as a young lad.
Aye. But is he not just back for, well, I know he's been playing for, was it Queen's Park he was with or something? But
yeah, he had a horror injury, Mark. Yeah, he did.
Aye, the right bad injury, sir. Aye, I mean, again, get him in at certain games, give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. And it is a bit of a gamble. I'm not talking about if we draw even a Dundee team like Accies in the cup, we fill the team with 10 kids. But there's no reason why if Celtic get a team like Accies in the cup at Celtic Park, Dane Murray can't start. Johnny Kenny can't. If Johnny Kenny can't score against Accies at Celtic Park, right, get him out on loan for another while. Do you get what I mean, Paul? That's what I'm talking about. Like the level, he scored goals there in Ireland. And the League Ireland's not that much higher than your Motherwells and St Johnson's and that. They're really no.
There'd be a few good teams there, Mark. Yeah, there would be. Yeah. I like, you know what, Mark? like it's wrong for me to say like that he's not going to make it because I don't know that. Like, I'm just going back to why he didn't settle the first time was he was too young. And he actually wasn't expecting that move back then. You know, he was just breaking into the Shamrock Rovers team at the time. That's the time when Desmond bought him, Mark, to throw money into Shamrock Rovers. That was that deal. You know, that was that deal. You know,
I mean, he's a young guy and it didn't happen. I mean, even look at Damien Duff.
Yeah,
he came out and worked for was a cracking coach for his well liked, but it just didn't work out because, well, obviously it was like his family reasons back in Ireland, but sometimes moves just don't work out at the right time. But
it was the same with Dyson Mead, Mark, in Portugal that time. Couldn't settle in Portugal when he was when he first came to Europe. Before he had his wife and stuff like that, he was a young lad. Dyson Mead, I was in Portugal, couldn't settle right. You know, like, we're not going to know, Mark, if he's going to make it until we see him. Do you know that?
Aye, and that's the thing about it. And the only way we're going to see it is if they do get a chance. And I mean, Rodgers likes to think he's this great kind of guru. His ego is not suit the scale. We all know that and stuff like that. But you would like to think that it's something like Rodgers would like to.
But this is what Rodgers always says. He does love. Rodgers loves working with this raw talent to make this raw talent better. But, like you can see that with Coleman, and that's why.
But get Mirren raw, but we need to get Mirren raw talent. Sorry to say no.
Because that's why I'm with you, Mark. Because that's why I can't see Coon leaving for another season, maybe, or another two, is because it's the only club, and he said it himself, and his agent came out and said it. It's the only club that Coon has actually settled into and is actually playing well. And he has a chance now, Mark. He's being watched by Nagelsmann for the Germany squad. Like, you know what I mean? So he's in detention of them. Like, why would he even take a risk to go to another team and it mightn't work out for him again? You know?
Aye. I mean, honestly, I don't see Coon leaving like that. Maybe another year, maybe, but no, there's no chance of him leaving in the summer. There's more a chance of him signing a new contract than there is of him leaving.
I tell you, Mark, there'll be some masterstroke by Celtic if they get him tied down to another contract. That will be some bit of business. Like, your star player, because how many times did we see our star players go out the door, Mark? They're not signing a new contract. They want to. If we sign him to a new contract, that's a statement of 10 by Celtic. We don't have to sell our best players, and we don't, Mark. Do you know what I mean? We don't. We have the money. We don't need to sell them. You know. Fair enough if a big club comes in, but not the deals Crystal Palace, Southampton and shit like that, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
When I see players leaving for Celtic, I want to play in the Premier League, or I want to think, and go to Southampton. Yeah, and a year later, then they're playing in the first division. You know, no way. It's money driven, and I don't think he's that type of player, Mark, who is.
Paul, see all that. Oh, I want to try myself in the Premier League and all that part. That's no. They just want the wages in the Premier League.
I can see why Matt O'Reilly went to Brighton, because Brighton actually are a good team.
Aye. But it's back to the case. It's like, I mean, people going about, you can't. It wouldn't matter if Celtic, if they could pay X amount of money wages, you couldn't get players to come in that. I keep going back. Can you mind Hulk going to China? I mean, the guy's an absolute lunatic, that right? But Hulk going to China. Look at the players that have left. Look at the players that have left to go to Dubai.
Look at the lad.
Look at Jota.
He was with Chelsea. Mark, the fella Oscar, the Brazilian.
He went to China for crazy money too, didn't he?
Crazy when he's actually retiring now. I think he's actually leaving. I think.
But, I mean, I'm not saying Celtic should be going out and offer players £300,000 a week. But if they could, and they'd done it, the players would come.
Exactly,
do you know
Mark.
what I mean? Aye, see if Man United were offering a player $200,000 a week in Celtic with some stage quirky nature.
But look at Manchester United now, Mark. They can't get rid of fucking Rashford because the money he's on. They can't get rid of Cameron Razor because he's on nearly $345,000 a year. Do you know that's
a week?
No, and they can't get, and he's sitting on the bench. Do you know? That is what, and this is what happened, and this is why Barcelona are in the financial trouble they're in, Mark, because for years they paid this crazy money to the and it's the exact same thing now that's happened to Manchester United. Manchester United actually have no money because of these outrageous contracts that they're doing. And people moan about Celtic, or pay the wages, pay the thing. You need to play within your means, you know. And unfortunately, Celtic are in the Scottish League, Mark. Do you get me? You know, and we have to pay within our means, Mark. I mean, fair enough, we can give that extra bit little, Mark, but you know what I mean. But you know, as you said there, Mark,
you get it's like Tierney says when he's on. You get what you pay for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And £5 20 years ago isn't the same as £5.
No, it's not. It's not. And that's what I think, Mark, I actually liked about Brendan Rodgers, that we did go out and spend that money on and Arnie Ingles and stuff like that. That we did push the ball out. You know.
But that's what we should be doing. And even Rodgers said that. Instead of going out and
but even at that, Mark,
don't go out and sign three players at $3 million. Go out and sign a
but
player
even
at
at that, Mark. But even at that, Mark, 11 million is nothing in the Champions League now. Do you get me?
No.
It's nothing.
No.
Pennies in Champions League. Pennies. Right, bud, I'll have to get some tea because I can smell the food by my tummy is rumbling.
Bud. Thanks very much for jumping on anyway, Paul.
No worries, bud.
You know what I mean? Been here for day one. I appreciate it. I know obviously you're legging that. You're maybe known as often as you'd like, but honestly, I appreciate everything you've done over the years, boy.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers, boy.
They're talking about Amiga. Don't start me on about Amiga computers and that. We're going here all night. Just don't, man. Right, Paul, you don't cut this off when you leave, but right.
No, go on.
Right, good night, kid. Right, thanks everybody for listening tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Just a wee bit of a blather and a catch up. Everybody that's listened in for all the shows, really appreciate it. All the support and just all the blather in the chat and everything. As I said, get in the Discord and go on. We're just crazy guys, Bobby and Henky, and that's on there talking rubbish most of the time. Go in there and have a laugh and a joke and get joined in as well. Thanks for everything, all the support. Everybody that listens back, joins in live, listens on Spotify a lot. Hail, good night and God bless.